Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Temple Buddhist Center's Sunday Meditation Service. My name is Victor, and I'm honored to be of service this morning, and we are so happy that you all are here today. We hope that our service finds each and every one of you happy and healthy, but please know that if you are struggling in any way, where our hope is that Temple Buddhist Center, our teachers and our teachings and this Sangha can be a source of strength and refuge for you as we open our hearts to you and to your loved ones. Just a quick reminder that on the altar at the back of the meditation hall are throat lozenges, cough drops, there are tissues, listening devices, and then up front here we have a number of cushions for those of you that might want to sit cross-legged or zazen style. Let's begin our morning together with some conscious breath work. A conscious breath is where you breathe in deeply through the nose, you hold that breath for a few moments, and then release slowly so that the exhale is longer than the inhale. Let's begin. Holding that breath for just a moment, feeling the fullness of the lungs. And now releasing slowly. And as you release, checking in once more with the body, making sure there are no points of tension or contraction, remembering to release the forehead, unfurrow the eyebrows, the jaw is easy and the shoulders drop, and the belly softens. And a second conscious breath together. Holding for a moment, ventilating this precious human form. And releasing slowly. And as you release on this second time, giving yourself full and complete permission to unplug from that energy of going and doing, that energy of striving and efforting, as together in sacred Sangha, we cultivate the energy of simply being. And a third conscious breath together. And releasing. And as you release on this third breath, we bring into our awareness the present moment. There is only this. This is all there is. And here at Temple Buddhist Center, we like to begin our services with a little bit of chanting. Chanting is an integral part of every tradition. Chanting is not about being a singer, it's about having a voice. It's about a deeply devotional expression of what is sacred within us and sharing that with the world. And our chant today is Om Amidewa Ze. This is a chant that enhances compassion. Compassion for all beings in all places. And as the Buddha said, if your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. And so, let's take a conscious breath together, breathing in. And let's begin. Om Amidewa Ze. 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 with a smile. Om Mami Deva Ze. Om Mami Deva Ze. Once more. Om Mami Deva Ze. And so here at Temple Buddhist Center, we practice Western Buddhism. Western Buddhism is a blend of Eastern philosophy and Western psychology. And this new and exciting form of spirituality is dynamic. It's growing and learning with us as we find out more every day about this amazing human experience. Western Buddhism is also inclusive. It is active, and it focuses on core Buddhist insights, as well as mindfulness, meditation, and their practical applications in our daily lives. Our goal here is not to get everyone to agree on a specific lineage or philosophy or sect of Buddhism, but rather it is on a shared experience of mindfulness, oneness, and love. Whether we are chanting together, whether we are sharing from the heart, or whether we are spending time in noble silence, we respect that you will participate at a level that is comfortable for you. We take refuge in the three jewels and acknowledge these core values as expressions of the awakened mind, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We value awareness of our Buddha nature, as well as the Buddha nature of all beings, bringing a fresh and a new experience to every encounter. And the second jewel is the Dharma, the truth teachings that release us from fear, from delusion, and help us to realize the true nature of who we are. And finally, Sangha, our spiritual community, an essential part of growth, where we come together to practice the teachings, to help each other understand, and to help each other along every step of the path. And so let's take a moment to silence any cell phones or electronic devices as we prepare now for a time in contemplation and meditation. And we also want to be sure and welcome everyone joining us at home from all around the world. We call that our PJ Sangha. Everybody at home in their PJs joining with us. We can sense their energy. They don't need to be physically present, and we can still energetically share this time together. And so we're going to begin with the prayer of refuge, which we will recite 3 times for the 3 jewels. Together. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. And so, as we prepare now for a time in meditation, if you have an extensive practice, then we invite you to practice in a way that is fitting for you this morning. If, however, you are perhaps newer to meditation, we will begin with a dedication of intention. We will awaken the bell 3 times for the 3 jewels, and then we will lead you in a guided meditation today that's designed to assist you in moving into the stillness. We will spend approximately 10 to 12 minutes today in noble silence, connecting with each other in consciousness, connecting with our Sangha near and far, and connecting with our Sangha past, present, and future. And so with that, let's take a conscious breath. Body, speech, and mind in perfect oneness. I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness, transcend the path of anxiety and sorrow, and realize the true nature of who they are. And so as the sound of the bell recedes, guiding us to stillness, the bell shows us the way. Gentle, calm, and gradual, we enter the interior landscape and cultivate that deep inner silence that is not dependent on external circumstances and is always with us. If necessary, you can take another conscious breath or 2 or adjust your posture, whatever you need to do to partner with the body to find a new level of gentleness and ease with every out-breath. And as your breath settles into its natural flow, its natural rhythm, we bring our awareness to the body, making sure that there are no points of tension or contraction, relaxing fully and completely. And from here, we can bring our awareness to awareness itself, noticing when the mind becomes distracted by a sound, noticing when the mind becomes distracted by a sensation like an itch or an ache or a tummy rumble, and noticing when the mind becomes distracted by a thought or a string of thoughts. All these things, they simply come and go. All these things rise and they fall. Our practice is to cultivate the space in which they come and go. Our practice is to cultivate the knower, not the things that are known. And so, connected to the breath, the body is easy, gentle, light. The mind is clear, yet receptive to whatever might arise, and the heart is open. We can continue with every exhale, moving more deeply into our meditation. I close my eyes and I see clearly. I stop trying to listen and I hear truth. I am silent, yet my heart sings. I seek no contact and find union. I am still and move forward. I am gentle and need no strength. Returning again and again to the breath. Returning again and again home. And so I invite you to remain in a meditative state, connected with the breath, and the body is gentle and easy. And I invite you to bring your awareness to the sense door of sound, noticing the sound of my voice or sound in the hallways or in the rooms around us. And as you become aware of sound, at the same time, can you keep a small amount of your awareness on that deep, still silence within? Next, I invite you to bring your awareness to the sense door of touch as you notice the feeling of your clothing upon your skin, or the feeling of the chair or the cushion beneath you. And as you become aware of matter, material, form, can you also keep a small amount of your awareness on that which is formless? In other words, can you be aware of awareness, as if you were pulling the camera back one step? And next, I invite you to bring your awareness to the sense door of sight as you slowly begin to open your eyes, just letting in a little bit of light, not really focusing hard on anything. And as you begin to become aware of stuff and things and objects, colors, shapes, can you also be aware of the space around them, as if you were looking at a negative photograph? How quickly our minds always go to the things in a room, but it can be a strong practice to become aware of the space in a room. Provides us with a paradigm shift. And next, I invite you to bring your awareness to the breath as we take a conscious breath together. And as you release, become present in the here, in the now, in this time, and in this place. Welcome back, everyone. And today we have a special treat. Our very own Liz Hazell is doing the Dharma talk. Liz is truly my right hand. She helps me in so many ways here at Temple Buddhist Center and does so many things for everyone in our community, oftentimes behind the scenes. And so we're very honored to have her today. And so, Liz, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Victor. Well, good morning. Good morning. I am grateful to be here today. Thank you, Victor, for asking me to speak again. I've been a meditator for about 14 years. And those of you that have heard me speak before know that I'm a storyteller, so today is going to be no different. But before I dive in today, I do want to acknowledge the current state of the world and the unfathomable suffering that's happening, not only in Gaza, but Ukraine, and many, many other places in the world and in the United States, and even here in our hometown. And I want to acknowledge that because I'm going to be talking today about what to do with our own suffering and how to alleviate that. And I also want to mention that it's possible for two things to coexist and be simultaneously true. That we can have our own suffering in whatever form that may be, while acknowledging and having a deep and profound compassion and empathy for those who are experiencing things that we can only begin to imagine. So let's get started. The title of my talk today is, So What Did You Expect? And I'm going to talk about disappointment and managing our expectations, now that I've set up kind of an expectation of me. So this has been something that's been coming up a lot for me lately, most recently because I was having car trouble. So, ugh, right? So it all started last month. And for reference, I drive a 12-year-old minivan with 100,000 miles on it. So it is not a new car. And I had a day off, and I decided that I was going to get my oil changed on my way to the grocery store. So I went to one of those quick oil change places because, as I said, it was my day off. I had a ton of stuff to get done. But the universe had other plans for me. So after the oil change was finished, I paid my bill, and I went to start my car, and it wouldn't start. And I tried several times. It was making a noise like it really wanted to, but it just wouldn't turn over. And the young men at the oil change shop started yelling at each other, trying to assign blame. And I said, look, this is a 12-year-old minivan with 100,000 miles on it. I am pretty confident that this was not your fault. So I called AAA to ask for a tow to the auto shop just down the road, and the young men at Valvoline were super nice, and they pushed my car out of the stall and into a parking lot place where it would be easy for the tow truck to get to me. AAA representative said it was going to be 18 to 23 minutes before a tow truck would arrive. I waited 2 hours. Remember how I said it was my day off? I had a lot of stuff to do. I had some disappointment and some altered expectations of the day. So the tow truck finally arrived, and I got a ride home, and nothing that I wanted to accomplish that day got done. So the next day, while I was at work, I got a call. Car was fixed. I could pick it up anytime. So I picked it up just before the shop closed, and I drove it home. The next day was a Sunday, and my partner and I had plans to go to Lawrence to visit our daughter who was attending college there. So we get in the van, and I go to start it. Nothing. It won't start. To say that I was disappointed was an understatement. I was frustrated. And in my frustration, I left a very unskillful and rather unfortunate voicemail for the manager of that auto shop. After I got off the phone, my partner looked at me and said, "Happy Monday" to him. My expectation that my car would start after spending $1,000 on it and having it not start not only caused me suffering, but now my suffering was overflowing onto another human. And I was now the cause of their suffering. And in my frustration and my anger, I lashed out. Now, I want to note that I have raised 2 children in the parenting style of conscious discipline. And in conscious discipline, we assume positive intent. And what that means is that if your child gets into your kitchen cabinet and they pull out your best antique pie plate that your great-grandmother used, and they take it out to the mud pit in your backyard and they make you a mud pie, that you don't get angry at them for ruining your best, most cherished pie plate. You thank them for thinking of you and making you this beautiful pie. I'm a firm believer that most people don't try to screw up. They don't want to make mistakes. I mean, who wants to come into an angry voicemail at 7 a.m. on a Monday? Nobody. I did not give the manager of the auto shop or those mechanics the same benefit of the positive intent that I have given to my children. We're all human, and no matter how old we are or how hard we try, we're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, including leaving angry voicemails, which I did apologize for the next time I spoke to him. But back to my story. Fortunately, we have another car, so we were able to continue on about our day, and Monday morning, the auto shop sent a tow truck to our house to retrieve my van and towed it back. And they called me Tuesday morning and said they'd figured out what the problem was, and I could have my car back on Tuesday afternoon. So great. I picked it up, and the car ran perfectly for a whole week. So the next Tuesday, I got in my car to run my usual errands, and you guessed it, the car wouldn't start. But something had shifted for me this time. The first time my car wouldn't start, I was really stressed. The second time, I was angry. But this third time, I felt equanimity. I surrendered. Oh well, the car won't start. Guess I'll do something else today. It's beautiful outside. I'll just sit in the sun and read instead of running errands. So I want to be clear that there is a distinction between resignation and surrender. So resignation is a giving up. Surrender is an opening up. Resignation says, I don't know why I bother trying. Nothing ever works out for me. It borders on nihilistic thinking, where everything is meaningless and nothing works and nothing matters, so why bother? Surrender is an opening to all possibilities. It means that we try our best and we take what comes. We allow that river to flow. We don't try to steer the river, and we don't get upset when we end up in a port that we hadn't planned on. So during this experience that I had with my van, I had the whole realm of spiritual practice, the whole realm of emotion in the span of just a couple of weeks. And that's what got me thinking about disappointment and its relation to expectation and to suffering. So we have a lot of expectation in our lives. We expect that people will behave in a certain way. We have an expectation that things that we plan to accomplish on any given day will probably get accomplished. We expect our car will start, and when it doesn't, we're disappointed. But we can only be disappointed if we have expectations. If we assume that everything is going to go like it's supposed to, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. Expectations plague our daily lives, and they cause us to be irritable and disappointed and disillusioned, and many times they lead us to say unkind words or act unskillfully. What's interesting, though, is that despite the suffering caused by expectations, we don't really notice them most of the time. There may be a few big ones that you're kind of aware of, but even so, you barely notice them. And there are thousands of small expectations every day. We turn on the faucet and expect water to come out. We expect our showers to be warm. We expect our phones to work. We flip a light switch and expect the lights to come on. Or the fans. And what happens when any one of these things doesn't happen? Suddenly our day gets worse. We go through our lives half asleep, not noticing the myriad of expectations that we have just for our daily living. And it's only when you feel that acute disappointment, like the power being off or the water heater failing, that you have any awareness of those expectations. It's like when we've had an ice storm and we're without power for hours or days, and we still walk into a room and habitually flip that light switch. Even though we know nothing's going to happen, we are still disappointed when the lights don't come on. What's more is we see expectations everywhere from everyone. And most recently, I was thinking about the Charlie Brown Halloween special, the one where the group goes trick-or-treating and they walk up to the house and they hold open their pillowcases, and then after they get their treats, they go back to the sidewalk and they look in and they announce, I got an apple, I got a popcorn ball, I got a chocolate, I got a rock. Over and over, Charlie Brown has an expectation and he's disappointed. And what about his sister Sally? She spends all night sitting in a pumpkin patch waiting for the great pumpkin to come and bring her toys. And we all know how that turned out. If we stop to think about how absolutely incredible it is that when we turn on a faucet, water comes out, I mean, really, how does that happen? How does the water come from wherever it is and get cleaned and somehow miraculously end up coming out of the exact faucet that I turn on? Never mind electricity. People much smarter than me have figured out how to make a switch on the wall, turn on all the lights in the room, or maybe just some of them, or maybe just a ceiling fan. It's incredible. We should be gloriously happy every time we have running water or electricity, or a phone that works, or a car that actually starts. Instead, we're disappointed when it doesn't. Expectations are the result of a craving mind, and the craving mind is driven by desire and aversion. It wants to keep what feels good, and it wants to push away what doesn't, in an effort to create the illusion of control in a world that is constantly changing and unfolding independently of how we think it should. So the Buddha identified that suffering exists, and he came up with the Four Noble Truths, which I'll get to in a minute. And he also came up with the way out of suffering, which is the Eightfold Path, which are a set of practices that include right understanding, thought, speech, which I did not practice that particular Sunday morning, right action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. And I could get into all of those, but we would be here for another 6 or 7 hours. So the first noble truth states that suffering exists, but Buddha didn't use the word suffering. He used the word dukkha. And dukkha is a Pali word that doesn't translate directly into English, but the closest word really isn't suffering, it's unsatisfactory or having unease or being uncomfortable. So the first truth is that life has an unsatisfactory quality to it. The second noble truth looks at the cause of suffering and that unsatisfactoriness, which has its roots in attachment to outcomes or expectations and our desire to keep the good stuff and push away the bad stuff. The third noble truth says that the end of suffering is possible by giving up our desire for things to turn out the way that we want them to. And the fourth noble truth gives us a path to that end, which is the Eightfold Path. So we can all agree on the first noble truth, that suffering certainly exists, and it comes in many forms. It can be physical, mental, emotional, or even spiritual. And desire, or craving, like suffering, comes in lots of forms too. Greed, lust, power, fame, beauty, etc. But the one I've been talking about today, and the one we all have in common, is expectation, which is really just a nicer word for control and a fancy word for want. We expect life to go a certain way, both for ourselves and the people that we care about. Our expectations of how we think life should be drives the advice that we give, the opinions that we have, the beliefs that we hold. There was a paper written several years ago where the scientists investigated the emotional reactions of silver and bronze medalists at Summer Olympics. And according to their findings, despite finishing behind the silver medalists, bronze medalists appear to be happier than the silver medalists. But why? Well, the researchers argued that the level of expectation makes the difference, that silver medalists are more likely to have the expectation of winning gold, whereas the bronze medalists were more likely to consider the possibility of finishing fourth and winning nothing. So in short, the happiness that we derive from any outcome depends on the difference between the actual and expected outcomes. If we achieve more than we expected, we find happiness. If we achieve less, we're disappointed. So think about it. All of this suffering is just because reality caught up to our expectations and they didn't coincide. They didn't match up. But the issue isn't reality. It's how we feel about reality and how we react or respond to it. We expected it to be one way, it didn't go as planned, and suddenly we're upset. That's suffering. So what do? How do we rid ourselves of the pain that results in life not going the way we want it? Well, we break the attachment and we let go. We release our expectations as soon as reality proves otherwise. And in that moment, rather than fight with reality, arguing and wishing that it was different, we just accept it for what it really is. We surrender. We respond instead of react. So the practice of meditation helps us to become aware of the space between a stimulus, which could be disappointment or just about anything upsetting, and our response to it. By allowing ourselves to sit in that space between, if only for a fraction of a second, becoming aware of the unease in our body, the trigger in our brain, whatever it is that causes that reactivity, and stop. Hopefully before we leave a nasty voicemail for some poor human that shows up to work early on a Monday morning. And if we really get the hang of noticing our own triggers, we can start becoming aware of how others are behaving and treat them with compassion when they're upset. because most anger and upset is caused because we're either getting something that we don't want or we're not getting what we do want. Just like Charlie Brown and his pillowcase full of rocks, and his sister Sally, who didn't get the toys that she was expecting. So if we can become aware of our own expectations, both the big ones and those 1,000 little ones every day, we can begin to release them and surrender to reality in each and every moment, and see that everything that happens in our lives is not unfolding exactly how we think it should, but how it is. Thank you for sharing your practice with me.
Thank you so much, Liz. So let's take a moment and just allow the teachings to move from our head to our heart. Instead of analyzing, figuring out, trying to remember, record, associate, we just allow the teachings to feel the truth of the teachings, to sense in our bodies how we can embody the truth of the teachings. And as we move now from the Dharma talk to a heart practice, it's not uncommon to take another conscious breath or shift your posture or adjust yourself in some way. And for the heart practice, some folks like to place a hand on their heart or perhaps do the Anjali mudra, which is the heart focusing. Or if you're in a meditation posture and your hands are on your lap, we invite you to just flip them upside down in sort of an outward expression of what is sacred and dear in our hearts, an expression of our desire for all beings in all places to be well and at ease. Our heart practice today is a metta practice, or loving kindness practice. And so with that, let's begin with a conscious breath, breathing in. And as you release that breath, I invite you to bring to mind the image of you, a full body image of the form that has been given your name and that has accrued so many experiences over the years. And as you hold this image of you in your mind's eye, recite silently to yourself these words of metta practice, or loving kindness practice. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. And may I be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of a friend of yours. Holding this image of your friend in your mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of an acquaintance, someone new, someone that you have perhaps met recently, somebody new at work or at class. And holding this image in your mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release this sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of a difficult person in your life, a challenging person, perhaps a boss or a co-worker, a neighbor, a family member, or a political figure. And holding this image in your mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. As you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of the world, all the plants and the flowers and the trees, all the animals of the land, the sea, the sky, and all sentient beings. Holding this image in your mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send metta to us all. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be safe from inner and outer dangers. May we be well in body and mind. And may we be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And in the true spirit of dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, temple services here are given freely. In the same way, if you choose to give, please give with a generous heart, which means not in return for anything that you have received today, but rather so that those who may be seeking refuge will find it here in this temple with these teachers and with these teachings. The dana boxes are located at the back of the meditation hall, and I think there was one upstairs, I'm not sure. And also, we take a moment of gratitude for all of our wonderful volunteers who help us in so many ways each and every day to help find new ways for Sangha to connect, to build community, to bring an understanding to the Dharma, and to do outreach within our community, our greater Sangha of Kansas City and beyond. We also have gratitude for our ambassadors, those folks who have committed themselves to regular monthly electronic giving. It's not about the amount. It's just that the regular monthly giving helps us to set a budget. And you too can become an ambassador. Just go to our website, templebuddhistcenter.com, or point your camera at the little cards in the seat backs in front of you. Also, gratitude to Jordan. Thank you so much, Jordan, for your beautiful music. And thank you so much to Liz Hazell. Thank you, Liz, for everything that you do. It is vast. Not only everything for Temple Buddhist Center, but being a friend and just a confidant. So we are truly blessed by your presence in our community, and we're blessed by your presence in our community. Thank you to each and every one of you for sharing your heart, for sharing your practice with all of us here at Temple Buddhist Center. We certainly are the better for it. And so here in a moment, I'll put up the Bodhicitta dedication, and we can end our time together reciting that out loud. We will recite the Bodhicitta dedication one time. And then after that, I will sound the closing bell, and then I have just a couple of announcements for you. And so, the Bodhicitta dedication together. May the pure, brilliant sun of Bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably, until all are illumined and awakened. And with the palms of our hands together in front of our hearts, as we go forth now from this place, may we enter each moment in innocence, guided by the wisdom of our hearts. And as we open our hands, open our eyes, shine our light into the world. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Just a couple of notes. Don't forget delicious crumble cookies, coffee, and tea downstairs, and also our post-service discussion groups. These are a wonderful way to come together with Sangha, to meet people, to discuss the lesson for the day, the teaching, and how that applies to each one of us in our lives. So don't forget, the post-service discussion group happens at 10:15, and it's right down the hallway as you go out the meditation hall doors. Turn to your left, and it's at the end of the hallway right there. Also, today is our fourth Sunday, which means on second and fourth Sundays, we feature the Growing Your Practice class. This is a class dedicated to helping people get a solid, established foundation in meditation and mindfulness. And so we are working from a book, but you can join the class at any time. You just pick up right there and continue on until you get all the way through it. It's a wonderful class. We've had a great turnout. We assign things like Dharma buddies and homework. So it's a great way to really get a foothold in establishing a regular practice. So I hope you can join us for that today. And then also, each Tuesday, we're having a Coping with Depression support group. And so this is, you can still register online. It started last Tuesday, but you're welcome to come at any point. And as we share tips, techniques, methods, best practices for coping with and dealing with depression, especially as we prepare to enter the winter months. So hope you can join us for that. Tai Chi Cha every Tuesday evening. Tai Chi Cha is a wonderful complement to your sitting meditation. It is movement meditation. So join us for that as well. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter and our volunteer programs that we have. Thank you for building our store, Liz. I've been seeing, in fact, some people came to the day-long silent retreat yesterday and were wearing TBC kitsch. So it's working. Also, a quick note, just so that you are not shocked, next Sunday, we have about 110 Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts joining us next Sunday for the 9 a.m. service. They're all working towards their religious emblems badge. And so I'm going to dedicate the balcony to those kiddos, but I think with that many coming, they will spill over some. So I might try to have a little bit of an usher program going next Sunday. So perhaps our regular folks can maybe sit a little farther forward than maybe you're used to allow room for these kiddos to come. Some of you remember they came again about 2 years ago, they attended. So every now and then we get these folks coming through. And also, don't forget our lending library is burgeoning. Lots of new books and things are there. I'll leave this up for all the new classes and things going on. Thank you to everyone who attended the day-long retreat yesterday. It was wonderful. Coming up here in November, we have another full moon celebration, but the details are coming for that. And Robert Brummett, who teaches here, many of you remember his teachings. He's also the one that during chanting, instead of saying Om Ami Dewa Zay, he's Mahomes may win the day, Mahomes may win. So it's that Robert Brummett is featuring what's called a dedicated practitioner's Sangha. This is an advanced Sangha. There's a sign-up sheet out on the out on the counter outside the meditation hall. And so if you have an extensive practice, you've been practicing a while, then we want to invite you to sign up for that. If you haven't been practicing a while, don't feel like you're being left out in any way. We have the Growing Your Practice and many other Sanghas to work with. This one's kind of focused on the folks because he's going to bypass a lot of the basics and go right into some advanced practices. So there's a sign-up sheet and a copy of the book on the counter out front. So again, thank you everyone so much. As you go into your day, I wish you peace, blessings, and go Chiefs.